A chance encounter on a lonely road. A broken soul meets a fragile pup. In that moment, two lives intertwined, forever changing their destinies. This is a tale of hope, loyalty, and the unbreakable bond between man and dog. The autumn air was crisp, carrying the scent of fallen leaves and distant wood smoke. Ethan walked along the quiet countryside road, his footsteps crunching softly on the gravel. The late afternoon sun filtered through the trees, casting dappled shadows across his path. He was lost in thought, his mind wandering to the worries and stresses of daily life, when something caught his eye. There, nestled against a bush just off the road, was a small, trembling form. Ethan's heart skipped a beat as he realized what it was. A puppy, so thin and fragile it looked like a gust of wind might blow it away. The little dog's eyes, large and brown, met Ethan's for just a moment before dropping in exhaustion and fear. Without hesitation, Ethan knelt beside the pup. "Hey there, little one," he murmured softly, slowly extending his hand. The puppy flinched but didn't run. Gently, ever so gently, Ethan scooped the tiny creature into his arms, cradling it against his chest. "You're safe now," he whispered, feeling the rapid beat of the pup's heart against his own. "I've got you." Ethan's apartment was small, but it had never felt so full of life as it did that evening. He set about making the puppy comfortable, creating a makeshift bed from old blankets and finding a shallow dish for water. The pup, whom Ethan decided to call Scout, lapped at the water eagerly, but approached the offered food with caution. "It's okay," Ethan encouraged, his voice gentle. "It's all for you, buddy." Slowly, Scout began to eat, and Ethan felt a warmth spread through his chest. This little dog needed him, and somehow he knew he needed Scout too. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. Scout grew stronger, his coat becoming glossy, and his eyes bright with life and mischief. He was more than just a pet. He was Ethan's constant companion, always by his side whether they were lounging on the couch or exploring the nearby woods. Ethan found himself talking to Scout about everything, his hopes, his fears, his dreams. The little dog would cock his head, listening intently as if he understood every word. In those quiet moments, Ethan felt a peace he'd never known before. Their bond deepened with each passing season. Scout was there to comfort Ethan on bad days, his warm presence a balm for troubled thoughts. And on good days, Scout's boundless enthusiasm made everything brighter. His wagging tail, a constant reminder of the simple joys in life. One crisp autumn afternoon, not unlike the day they first met, Ethan decided to take Scout on a hike through the nearby forest. The woods were alive with color, leaves of gold and crimson rustling overhead. Scout bounded ahead, nose to the ground, tail wagging furiously as he explored every new scent and sound. Ethan smiled, watching his four-legged friend's excitement. The trail narrowed as they climbed higher, winding along the edge of a steep slope. The ground was damp from recent rain, leaves slick underfoot. Ethan stepped carefully, calling out to Scout to stay close. It happened in an instant. Ethan's foot landed on a patch of wet moss, and suddenly the world tilted. He felt himself falling, tumbling down the slope. There was a sickening crack and pain exploded through his leg. When he came to rest at the bottom, the agony was overwhelming. Ethan tried to move, but even the slightest shift sent waves of pain coursing through his body. His leg was twisted at an unnatural angle. Broken, he realized, with a sinking feeling. Fumbling for his phone, his heart sank further. No signal. The trail they were on was rarely used, especially this late in the season. Help could be ours, even days away. Scout was at his side in an instant, whining softly and licking Ethan's face. The dog's brown eyes were wide with concern, sensing his human's distress. Ethan reached out, burying his fingers in Scout's soft fur. "Good boy," he managed through gritted teeth. "It's okay, Scout, we'll be okay." But as the minutes ticked by and the pain intensified, Ethan knew they were in serious trouble. The temperature was dropping as evening approached, and he was already starting to shiver. He looked at Scout, an idea forming. With shaking hands, Ethan tore a strip from his shirt. He tied it loosely around Scout's neck, his voice hoarse as he spoke. "Scout, listen to me. You need to go find help. Do you understand? Go, boy, find someone, bring help." Scout whined, reluctant to leave Ethan's side. But there was an urgency in Ethan's voice that the dog seemed to understand. He looked into Ethan's eyes for a long moment, then turned and raced off into the gathering dusk. Ethan watched Scout disappear into the trees, his heart heavy. "Please," he whispered to the empty forest. "Please, find someone." Scout ran like he had never run before. His paws flew over roots and rocks, his nose working overtime to navigate the unfamiliar terrain. He didn't know exactly what he was looking for, but he knew Ethan needed him to find it. The forest gave way to open fields, and finally, Scout reached a road. Cars whizzed by, their headlights cutting through the darkness. Scout barked, trying to get their attention, but they sped past without stopping. Exhausted but determined, Scout kept running along the roadside. His legs ached, his lungs burned, but the memory of Ethan lying hurt and alone drove him on. Finally, he spotted a car slowing down. With a burst of energy, Scout raced in front of it, dropping the cloth from his mouth and barking frantically. The driver, a middle-aged woman named Sarah, hit the brakes. At first, she was annoyed at the dog in the road. But something about the desperation in Scout's eyes and the torn cloth at his feet made her pause. He stepped out of the car, approaching cautiously. "Hey there, boy," she said softly. "What's wrong? Are you lost?" Scout barked again, grabbing the cloth in his mouth and tugging at Sarah's pant leg. She looked closer at the fabric, realizing it was torn from a shirt. "Oh my God," she breathed. "Someone's in trouble, aren't they?" Without hesitation, Sarah pulled out her phone and dialed emergency services. Then, guided by Scout, she followed him back into the forest. The journey seemed to take forever. Sarah stumbled in the darkness, guided only by her flashlight and Scout's unwavering determination. Finally, they heard a weak voice calling out, "Here, we're here." They found Ethan where he had fallen, pale and shivering in the cold night air. Sarah immediately wrapped him in blankets from her car, while they waited for the rescue team to arrive. "Your dog?" she told Ethan, her voice filled with awe. "He saved your life. ... Ethan reached out, his hand finding Scout's fur. "Good boy," he whispered, tears in his eyes. "The best boy." The next few weeks were a blur of hospital stays and recovery. Ethan's leg had been badly broken, requiring surgery and extensive physical therapy. But through it all, Scout was there. The hospital made a special exception, allowing the dog to visit Ethan's room. Those visits became the bright spots in long, painful days. Finally, Ethan was released to recover at home. He sat on his porch, leg propped up in its cast, watching the sunset. Scout lay at his feet, head resting on Ethan's good leg. Ethan reached down, scratching behind Scout's ears. "You know," he said softly, "when I found you that day, I thought I was saving you. But the truth is, you've saved me in so many ways." He smiled, blinking back tears. "I gave you a home, but you gave me a family. You showed me what it means to love unconditionally, to be brave, to never give up." Scout looked up at him, tail thumping gently against the porch. In that moment, Ethan knew with absolute certainty that this bond, this friendship, was something truly special. It had been forged in kindness, strengthened through companionship, and tested in the face of danger. And it had emerged unbreakable. As the stars began to twinkle in the darkening sky, Ethan made a silent promise. He would spend the rest of his days showing Scout the same love, loyalty, and devotion that the dog had shown him. Because Scout wasn't just a pet. He was family, friend, and hero, all rolled into one. And in the quiet of that autumn evening, with Scout by his side, Ethan knew that he had found something truly precious, a love that would last a lifetime and beyond.